So today was a much better day for Ukraine. Yesterday was pretty terrible, and today was much better. I'll give you all the coverage. I figured out how to have a microphone attached here. I'm still at the academic conference, and I'll be here through today, and then so we'll be back to normal tomorrow. Okay, so here's what happened day over day. Ukrainian drone swarms are en route to hit military and strategic targets on the territory of the Russians. On this map, red arrows indicate strike UAVs, and the blue arrows and the jets, UAVs, small cruise missiles, and things along those lines. So Ukraine was starting to target Russia, and from this you would get a sense that it was like going to be all these refineries all over. There was really one oil complex, and we'll talk about that. But then there were these other strange things that happened that were all in Ukraine's favor. Russia lost a 65 65th Ka-52 helicopter since the invasion of Ukraine began, and it wasn't shot down. It just there was a crash. But a crash means that's another helicopter off the battlefield, right? It's valued at approximately $16 million. Okay, so that's one. Then there was yesterday, not last night, but the day before, I saw this. Russia lost its fourth military aircraft since the beginning of the year. MiG-31 supersonic interceptor crashed while landing at Lipetsk region, and its landing gear system failed. The crew managed to eject. They were hospitalized, but this is the fourth loss of a Russian combat aircraft, one in March, April, July, and now October. So that's good. Doesn't even need to be shot down for it to be off the battlefield. And then there was a compilation of strikes here, including a TOS 1A 220 millimeter MLRS. Because it's a compilation, I'm not sure if this is from previously. It was just posted today, so I'm not sure. We've seen something like that off the battlefield in the last week, so take that one with a grain of salt. But then the SBU conducted a series of precision strikes on Russian military bases in occupied Ukraine with the new Firepoint FP2 drones. FP2 trades the FP1's 1,400-kilometer range for just 200 kilometers to accommodate a huge 105-kilometer warhead, 230-pound warhead. So that was a good strike, and that's part of what you saw in the lead up, where things are just shooting out from Ukraine. Then this was also yesterday in a joint operation, Russian Federation Legion. That is, the Russian Freedom Legion is like the internationals, and Ukraine's GUR Defense Intelligence struck Russian oil platforms in the Black Sea with air drones launched from naval drones. The Russian Freedom Legion is composed of Russian soldiers fighting on the side of Ukraine against Russia. Again, it's an international component of the Ukrainian military that's fighting alongside the Ukrainian military, but these guys are from Russia. Okay, this morning, drones hit the Russian oil refinery complex Bashneft. Now, this is the biggest hit. Okay, 1,400 kilometers from the front line. Bashneft, total capacity around 23 to 26 million tons per year. Complex of 3 oil refineries located next to each other. But the interesting thing is that they hit the AVT6 unit. I'm not sure I understand how to describe that, but like if you hit this, it kind of really screws up the whole process. So this is good. This is what they keep targeting, ATV6 unit. Okay, now let's turn our attention to what the Russians did to Ukraine last night. 78 attack UAVs, shot down 54 or suppressed 54, 21 hit 6 locations. 78 is about half of what they can do in a day, so it seems to indicate that they might be saving up for a larger attack. Russian forces killed 2 energy workers in Chernihiv Oblast. Double strike tactics, hitting their vehicle with a drone, then attacking again as a colleague tries to rescue them. One severely wounded a worker who later died in a hospital, bringing the death toll to 2, with 3 others injured. That was what Ukraine was suffering from Russian attacks last night, even though they were limited. 44 settlements are without electricity on the night of October 11th. Russian targets Ukraine's energy infrastructure ahead of winter. This is going to keep going. They're going this is the path of the future for the Russians. Until the spring, you're going to see lots and lots of this. Okay. on the battlefield. This is really interesting. 1,060 Russians off the battlefield. We only see one tank reported, but we know that there was a larger battle, so there's a lag in the reporting. 6 armored fighting vehicles, 21 artillery systems, 72 vehicles and fuel tanks. Now, this isn't going to jive with what I'm about to show you, so the numbers are a little behind. Okay, engagements and casualties remain above average, and then across direction we see 51 assaults, and that's about right for the number of casualties. But then we see something interesting. After a long pause, Russia is again sending big armored columns into attack. A mass assault with 35 tanks and 80 armored fighting vehicles and Ukrainian positions took place in the area of responsibility of the 1st Azov Corps. So Azov's first is not necessarily the place that you want to do this, but you're seeing this these columns of infantry, fighting vehicles, tanks, that sort of thing. So there is first a group of motorcycles, and then you saw other things following it, tanks and other stuff, right? Okay, so a little bit about this. Ukrainian air assault forces repelled a major Russian assault on the Dobropilya axis. Russians attempted to capture Volodymyr and Sovivka using 6 tanks, 40 infantry fighting vehicles, 40 plus vehicles, and several hundred troops. Ukraine destroyed 3 tanks, 13 infantry fighting vehicles, 41 vehicles, and eliminated around 100 personnel. And this area is now being cleared. Now, again, this number of tanks and infantry fighting vehicles and other has not yet reflected in the official accounting. Here's more footage from the Russian assault near this area, and it was a very bad idea for the Russians. Now, in a different region, unable to hold territory, Russian forces are now destroying it. In Sumy region, 119th Airborne Regiment is deliberately leveling the village of Yanakivka. Sources report that the commander personally ordered strikes on civilian infrastructure. So they're being cleared, but they're also destroying things as they leave. Meanwhile, Zelensky was awarding awards posthumously. I presented our warriors with orders of the Golden Star and handed the awards to the families of the heroes of Ukraine who received the title posthumously. It's thanks to such people that, thanks to the fact that millions of our citizens have truly risen to defend Ukraine, that Ukraine has been able to preserve and protect its independence, he says. And here we see Zelensky handing those awards to family members, wives, and other relatives. Okay, now, while he's doing that, it's a really interesting juxtaposition. A very interesting development. Russian authorities severely reduce welcome payments for recruits in occupied. Now, they needed to really increase the bonuses because otherwise, why would people join the military? Well, in occupied Tatarstan, the welcome bonus was reduced by 89%, up approximately from 38,000 to 4,000. So it's reduced. They had an incentive to join. Here's a 38,000 bonus, and they reduced it to 4,000. In Russian-occupied Boriskostan, whatever, the bonus was reduced from 20,000 to 12,000 earlier. Okay, before Russian authorities tried to artificially reduce payments, for example, setting the benchmark of 3 months service before full payment, with life expectancy for many soldiers of several days in combat, but they were afraid to openly reduce the magic numbers or the welcome payment. So what they've done is that they're trying to tighten the budget, and they needed to give all this money to get people incentivized, and now they're trying to tighten the budget back. So if you'll get your bonus, but you get it after 3 months. You might not be around to collect it at that point. Okay, Russian military salaries are being abruptly cut by huge margins, while Russian leadership lobbies North Korea for more soldiers and plans to bring in 25,000 Cubans. Like I've seen a lot about the Cubans here recently. Briefly, regions have begun seriously reduced payments to contract workers in Tatarstan, where they were reduced 4 times from 3.1 million to 800,000 rubles. And then it goes on and talk about in other regions, the same kind of things happening. It's pretty incredible to watch. They need the people, but they don't have the budget. Okay, I just thought this was really cool. Ukrainian FPV drone pilot from the Signum unit masterfully flew through a dense forest in Donetsk Oblast, Liman sector, dodging branches before striking a Russian soldier. Now, if you're going through a forest, if you just walk through a forest, you have to kind of, weave through things. But imagine an FPV drone can't get caught on the branches. So it has to be really, really careful. This is amazing piloting to be able to do this kind of thing for the FPV drone. So now the Russians were using the denseness of the forest to have protection from FPV drones, but skilled pilots can still get through and do this sort of thing. So that's why I'm showing you what I'm showing you here. All right, last little bit. When darkness falls, they rise. These are drone pilots about to do what drone pilots do. Thank you, my friends, for your time today. It was a much better day for Ukraine than it was yesterday, that's for sure. Thank you for the time, the likes, the shares, and the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.